I am getting to select the best player in fantasy football right now. We are going to take Ja'Marr Chase to the one hole, and then we are going to figure out the rest of this draft. But it's hard to go wrong whenever you start your draft off with Ja'Marr Chase. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, you will see some running backs make it to you at the either 2-3 turn or 4-5 turn in these underdog drafts. Running backs aren't the hardest to come by, as I know they typically are in your regular redraft leagues. But who knows, because this is just a $5 puppy draft. Y'all haven't seen me do many of these on the live stream. I've been having to try to max out Best Ball Mania, which is the $25 buy-in on Underdog. But I know these are the most beloved tournaments on Underdog. I know this is what y'all always ask me to do. This is the $5 puppy. This is the fourth one that they've dropped. It's a $1 million prize pool. $100,000 to first place. We actually had a member of the flock a couple years back take down a puppy tournament, which is really cool. In case you're wondering, like, how the hell do you turn $5 into 100,000? You have to be a top 2 scoring team in your 12-team draft in weeks 1 through 14 to advance to the playoff tournament, where you have to go up against 9 people in week 15. If you beat them, you go up against 9 people in week 16. If you beat them, you go up against about 350 people in week 17. And if you beat them, you turn $5 into 100K. If you get second place, you get 75,000, third place, 50,000, fourth place, 25,000, all the way down the line. I've won a couple underdog tournaments in my day, but I've never won a puppy tournament. These are extremely difficult. And yes, I understand that we got people coming through and saying our Longhorns disappointed. And trust me, I wish I could throw on our Longhorns helmet. I wish I could have showed up in some live streams today wearing that, but after Manning just proved to be a Nepo baby, it is difficult for me to go through and throw it on. But Celeris wins the next Flock League video coming out. Probably not for some time. Like, realistically, next Flock League video is probably coming out on Friday or so. But looking at this, Travis says he survived his draft today at the 12th pick. Congrats, my friend. 12's not bad, to be honest. I have been seeing more and more people do this, take Drake London ahead of Brian Thomas Jr., which in my mind just is certifiably crazy, but I'm not going to complain. And dear God, yeah, Bucky went at pick 7 in this draft. Crazy. So we'll see what makes it to us. Seeing the running backs get steamed up like that, maybe we're a little less excited about what's going to be available to us at pick 24, but we'll figure it out. John says he got Malik Neighbors at pick 23 in his draft. Yeah, that's something that would never happen in an underdog draft. That is crazy. Okay. Mark says, can't be easy playing your first start against Ohio State in Ohio. I'm not coming up with excuses for the guy. Y'all know I've said this 1,000 times. I'm the worst Texas fan known on this planet. I'm one of the very few Texas Longhorns fans that actually went to the University of Texas. If you're not from Texas, all you know, it's a pretty good school, pretty hard to get into. But every single year I was there, and every single year since, people pretend that we are going to be good. That, oh my gosh, we finally put it together. The Longhorns are back. And every single year I'm disappointed. So I'm the worst Longhorns fan in the world. I never let myself get excited because I know it always ends in disappointment. I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor here. Super easy for me to take JT. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Trey McBride. And this is what I was talking about. In your underdog drafts, a lot of times you can actually get a running back that you really like at the 2-3 turn with either Jonathan Taylor or Chase Brown. But I know you probably have already done your main redraft league. And obviously, we're going to be making videos all year long, talking about start sits, talking about trades, making weekly rankings, the whole 9 yards. But if you wanted to get into an extra fantasy football draft that you won't have time commitment for during the year, it's not going to replace your main fantasy football league, Underdog Fantasy is the way to do that. I mean, we are drafting on Underdog every single night. I have done it every single night for like 3-4 years now. Again, it doesn't take away from my main redraft league because I don't submit my starting lineup with these leagues. It's automatically done for me at the end of every single week. So if I take Amari Cooper in the last round of this draft and he randomly has 100 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns 1 week, he'll automatically go into my starting lineup. You draft super deep, 18 rounds, so you don't have waiver wires. Your roster is immediately locked. So it's the best place to get into an extra fantasy football draft. But again, you're not going to be replacing your main league. And I know that I'm going to annoy the crap out of y'all with this, but Underdog already has pick'ems, and I'm going to have to talk about this every single day this week because it is the biggest week that they have all year with these promos. It is ridiculous. They already tweeted out their special pick'em promos. You have Saquon Barkley as a gimme pick on Thursday night, higher, lower, half a total yard. Then a 50% profit boost token on Thursday night, a 50% profit boost token on Friday night, a 100% profit boost token dropping on Saturday for the Sunday games, and then additional promos that they're running Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So for the love of God, make sure you take advantage of this. This is the week you need to be on Underdog Fantasy, whether you're going to be hopping in a draft or whether you're just interested in those promos. Regardless, they also have crazy promos if you're new to Underdog, where if you click the link in the live chat description comment section where it says draft with us here and use code FLOCK, when you make your first $5 play, you are actually going to get $50 added into your account. And on top of that, you're going to be getting our rankings and draft sheets for your exact league settings as well, sent to the email address that you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with. So make sure you go ahead, take advantage of that. Links in the description, links in the comment section, links in the live chat, and use code FLOCK if you want to get all those promos. But George Pickens goes 44, Xavier Worthy off at 45. And we should hopefully be able to find some wide receivers that we like here at the 4-5 turn. But you also have Kenneth Walker falling a bit. So there's a chance that we go with Kenneth Walker and a wide receiver almost no matter what. We need to take a wide receiver here. So Jameson Williams goes, I'm going to take Kenneth Walker. And if you're in your regular redraft league, I'm not going to fault you for ranking Breece Hall over Cortland Sutton. But for me, we are really just going to be having to take Sutton because if you fall too far behind at the wide receiver position in your Underdog draft, you could just have absolutely no shot at catching up. Because again, Underdog is going to be a start 3 wide receiver. So, and let's move this over. And somebody says, why does McBride go over George Kittle? I mean, shouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world to see Trey McBride get drafted ahead of George Kittle. Like, I can go ahead and pull up 2 different things on flockfantasy.com for you. First things first, let's pull up the player comparison tool on the site. We got Trey McBride's age 25 season, the closest comps historically. Rob Gronkowski in 2014. What did he do the following year? 17 points per game. George Kittle in 2018. The main thing that you see is a lot of these times you're getting another season over 14 points per game because 25 to 26, you're still in the prime of your career. George Kittle, on the other hand, you are looking at a tight end that is going to be playing his age 32 season. And we look at all the closest comps. Travis Kelce at 31 had a very similar season. Travis Kelce averaged 21 points per game. Kelce got worse the following year. Delaney Walker got worse the following season. Jared Cook got worse the following year. Jason Witten got worse the following year. Antonio Gates got worse the following year. Every single tight end that was an elite option like George Kittle at 31 regressed the following season. Now, of course, that's not the only thing to look at. We can just at least acknowledge that as a starting spot, and we can at least acknowledge the fact that the historical trend is tight ends to get worse at age 32 in comparison to where they were at 31. And then we can go through and we can look at the gap between how much better was George Kittle than Trey McBride last year. This is the player comparison tool on flockfantasy.com. Here you have Kittle at 15.8 points per game, Trey McBride at 15.6. They were almost identical. And the only real difference between them was Kittle was number 1 in the NFL and he's number 2 in the NFL in receiving touchdowns per game, where Trey McBride was number 29th. But McBride, over 9 targets a game, Kittle 6.2. McBride at 28% team target share, Kittle 22%. McBride, 7 receptions a game, Kittle 5.2. Yes, the efficiency was on the George Kittle side, but efficiency is going to be more volatile year to year than volume will be. What happens if Trey McBride can score half a touchdown a game this next season with averaging about 10 targets per game. So, yeah, definitely I'm not going to, for me, I'm not even going to entertain the thought to take George Kittle over Trey McBride. McBride's the pick, in my opinion. Okay, let's move this down. We got Aaron Jones at 69. Sam Laporta goes 70, specifically in underdog drafts. Again, your regular redraft league, you start 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, access to the waiver wire. You don't need to stress like this. But in these underdog drafts, you have to make sure you're getting your wide receivers here. After about the top 50 wide receivers, there is going to be a massive teardrop. It is going to get extremely ugly, and it is something I simply do not want to have to deal with. So we'll go ahead. We'll take Stephon Diggs and Chris Olave at the 6-7 turn, and I love our draft. We have running backs of Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker, wide receiver Jamar Chase, Cortland Sutton, Stephon Diggs, Chris Olave, and the elite level tight end in Trey McBride. Okay. And yes, if you haven't done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. For every 100 likes we hit on this stream, we are going to be giving away free vouchers on flockfantasy.com. So go down there, hit that like button, and also hit the bell next to the subscribe button because we are going to be live streaming every single day until Christmas. Obviously, until the season starts, we'll be live streaming these underdog drafts. Once the season does start, we are going to be just doing the live Q&As where I'm going to be answering your questions every night. But it looks like we just hit 100 likes on the stream. So let me go ahead and pull up flockfantasy.com again, go over to the users page, and I will give away some free vouchers. So please spam the chat right now with your flockfantasy.com username, and we'll pick somebody random to give away those freebies to. Okay, Noah, thank you for joining as a YouTube member, my friend. Malcolm says, does anyone know if it has to be a Mac for me to connect to my ESPN league? Nope, you can connect your ESPN league on flockfantasy.com on any computer. Let's go ahead and pick someone. We got Nerd Space 1991. My guy, you know I appreciate you. Hopefully we can get you in the Flock League next year. But let me go ahead and at the very minimum, let me send you over some free vouchers right now. Just found your account on the site. Looks like you didn't get the season pass, so you shouldn't have any free vouchers yet, but just sent some over to your account, so you should be set up, my guy. Okay, Keon Coleman goes 88. Malcolm says, just use your draft sheets for my draft, and I feel like I killed it. That is amazing, my friend. Upload it on the My Teams page, and let me know where it is in the League Analyzer. Let's move this down. Bo Nix goes 91. J.K. Dobbins off 92. God dang, Dobbins has been a riser. Isaiah says, excited to use your draft sheets tomorrow after getting hammered in the games to determine that order. How did y'all determine the order? What games are y'all playing? Jaden Reed goes 93. Christos says, what was your advance rate last year? And we'll be doing content to show off your playoff teams. So I tweet it all out at the end of every year. You can just go back and look at my Twitter. Phenomenal advance rates last season. I know off the top of my head that we advanced 41 teams in the sprint, which I think was higher than anybody else on Underdog. We're going to continue to play catch up here at wide receiver with Michael Pittman Jr., and we're going to take Kyler Murray as well to pair up with Trey McBride, and also people are going to be excited about the Week 17 bring back with Chase. But yeah, phenomenal advance rates last year. We only had one team make it to the finals in BBM. That team was centered around a Lamar Flowers likely double stack with Nico Collins on the way back in that Houston game. And sadly, CJ Stroud crapped the bed and my Christmas was ruined. Okay. So Kyler Murray goes 97. Dak Prescott off 101. I really like this team. Like we took a risk by making this the title live stream crushing a 2025 fantasy football draft, but I feel like we are. But Isaiah says for his fantasy order, Iron Man style, swim to the dock and back, throw a football into a garbage can, run a 40-yard dash, best times, set the order. Ooh, sounds exciting. I would have smoked it in the flock league if we did that. But we smoked it anyway. Well, we got a second pick right behind the fan. Jack says, I've been following your draft guides and my teams have been first overall in the league rankings on the site under the expert rankings. That's amazing, my friend. Vinny says, currently a 54% fill rate on the sprint, 5 days until the start of the season. At least it's guaranteed. Yeah, this is going to be something that's very interesting to monitor. So I don't want to sit here and I don't want to guarantee that, oh my gosh, get ready. There's going to be a massive overlay and Underdog's going to have to throw a bunch of money in these pots. Because realistically, what I would imagine ends up happening is I'd imagine a crap ton of teams are drafted over the next 5 days. We've seen how many people there are on Underdog. But something to monitor will be with these tournaments. The sprint is a $1 million prize pool. I've maxed it out already, but there have only been 30,000 entrants out of the 55,000. So you may wonder, okay, well, how is that going to work? If there are only 30,000 entrants, $20 buy-in, that's $600,000 in the prize pool. Underdog said there'll be $1 million in prizes. If that tournament doesn't fill, or if the marathon does not fill, that means you're going to go up against fewer teams in the tournament for the same amount of prizes. Underdog's going to have to take money out of their account, and they're going to have to put it into the prize pool. They guarantee those tournament prizes. You can see that with the little green G on any tournament that you enter. That means the prize pool is guaranteed. So if like the sprint ends up being 30% unfilled, that means typically the 10% rake that Underdog would take and they would profit from the tournament, they don't get that 10%, and 20%, they have to add money into the pot. So I would definitely monitor that if I were y'all. I would definitely consider hopping into some of those drafts, especially if it looks like they won't fill. But that will be something to continue to monitor because, again, there are a ton of people drafting teams right now. So it's a way too early for me to say that that's for sure not going to fill. We're going to take Christian Kirk here. And then in terms of quarterback potential stacks, Goff does nothing. McCarthy does nothing. Love does nothing. Lawrence does nothing. So we'll take David Njoku. We'll call it a day at tight ends. And obviously, if you're in your regular redraft league, you're not going to take a second tight end after you take Trey McBride. But here in an Underdog draft, you got to take 2 to 3 quarterbacks. You got to take 2 to 3 tight ends. And you got to take the rest of your spots being running back, wide receiver. Like, you got to stick to some pretty consistent what's it called? Roster construction. Sorry. Phil says, use your 12 team start 7 ESPN draft sheet and got number 1 in analyzer. Love to hear it, my guy. And let me just remind everybody in the chat real quick. If you copy and paste the same question over and over again, I'm going to intentionally ignore it. It just ruins the chat for everybody. Nerdspace says, will those not filling prevent more flock tournaments? I got word from Underdog that I think we're going to be doing another flock tournament tomorrow night. But I told them, I was like, don't worry about it. Do whatever's best for y'all. Because obviously they're doing us a favor by letting us do like the flock tournament, letting us do like a flock pick and pack. So, if they message me tomorrow saying we're not going to do the flock tournament, I want to be the most surprised, but It is what it is. And selfishly, as somebody who's drafted a ton of teams in the sprint, wouldn't it be the worst thing if it doesn't fill for me? Because then all of a sudden, we'd be looking at a much better shot of winning the 100K. Isaac Tesloff, 139. Hunter says, did they add more pick'ems to the states recently? I don't know. I have this state map saved of where the drafts are available. Like, this is where all the drafts are available on Underdog. I don't have the pick'em map saved, though. But the drafts are available in pretty much every state. Not every single one, but almost. Okay, let's move this over. And, ooh, quarterback's drying up. I like our team a lot still, though. Dylan Sampson goes 141. Brains and I goes 142. What is this team going to do here? They go Braylon Allen. I will take Trey Benson for sure. And then after Trey Benson, between Judkins, Ray Davis, and Jaden Blue, I think we'll go ahead and we'll probably take Ray Davis. Or we could go Young. We can go Cam Ward. Let's just take Ray Davis. Let's just get the running back in. Judkins is more interesting for me in those underdog tournaments like the sprint and the marathon, where he was drafted really early in a lot of the other ones. Not the marathon, because marathon is going to miss time. Not interested there. But the sprint would be a very good spot to take Judkins, or if you can still draft in Best Ball Mania, because a large percentage of the drafts that were completed, he went super early in comparison to where he goes now. But I don't think we need to be taking him in this tournament, because I've already drafted so much freaking Quinshon Judkins. Okay. God, my hip's hurting. Sitting at this computer this long. I'm not used to. I need to get the standing desk standing. I have a standing desk and I literally never use it. I have a standing desk, but I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't even go up anymore. Okay, Go Verazy says, have you drafted Alec Pierce in any of these drafts? Yeah, the underdog drafts is where you would consider drafting Alec Pierce. The issue is, like in your regular redraft league, you never take the dude, because how could you ever know when he was going to have a good week, and how could you ever get him into your starting lineup? But in underdog drafts, if it's just your highest scoring potential lineup gets submitted for you automatically, then obviously, if he does have that random spike, he will slide in. And I know people were hoping that Anthony Richardson was going to be a starting quarterback, because Richardson will just sling the ball deep, and Alec Pierce is more so a deep ball wide receiver. But I don't think it's horrible with Daniel Jones. The area that the targets are going to come will be a little bit different, but overall, there's probably more passing volume in the offense. Cam Ward off 162. Horton goes 163. We still need some quarterbacks here for sure. All right. I think we're going to mainly be doing these $5 drafts until the season gets here, because like I said, I've already maxed out the other tournaments. I didn't max out the $11 tournament on Underdog. There's one there. But I maxed out the sprint. I maxed out marathon. I maxed out BBM. I didn't max out weekly winners, but I think that one actually may already be closed. I tried drafting 20 weekly winners teams, and I was like, this is literally a living hell. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I stopped. What are we going to do with this one? I'm hoping we get Tua. Thank God. We don't have a Tua stack, but we just simply need quarterback points to advance. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take Daniel Jones for the stack with Michael Pittman Jr. Could make an argument to just take Tajay Spears here, but frankly, I'm fine reaching on the quarterback just to make sure we get the third. We're already all in on the Indianapolis Colts offense with Jonathan Taylor and Pittman. So might as well just go ahead and say, if I'm trying to turn $5 into $100,000, I think we kind of got to go for it. Brett says, won $10 in college football for week 1 on Underdog. Not great. Not great. I did not do any Underdog pick'ems for college football this weekend, mainly because, one, I have no idea what the hell's going on in college football. And thank God I didn't, because if I would have taken any Manning hires, we would have been wiped. Nerd Spaces, I drafted so many flocks and eliminators. Those are my favorite formats. Yeah, I maxed out the eliminator as well. I don't know if the eliminator is still open, is it? If y'all don't know how the eliminator is, it's a tournament where every week you go up against one person, and if you lose, you get knocked out. And then the last person standing wins like a crazy prize. But it looks like the eliminator's filled. But honestly, so obviously we came up with the flock tournaments where you have like the 1v1s in weeks 15 and 16. But while I maxed out the eliminator, because this is my job, right? But I actually think that people are going to be very disappointed with the eliminator. Because you're going to be in week 5 and you're going to have no teams left. And you're going to go, how is that possible? But if you just do the simple math here, right? You go up against one other team, hypothetically. So you have a 50-50 chance of winning, right? And let's say you maxed it out. You drafted 150 of them. And you have a 50-50 chance of winning. Let's say you're even better than, you're 10% better than the average drafter. I'm not talking about you. You're better. I'm talking about, but anyway, let's look at your outcome. You're better than the average drafter. Week 1, you'll have about 79 teams left. I'm sorry, week 2. Week 3, you'll have about 40 teams left. Week 4, you'll have 21. Week 5, you'll have 11. Week 6, you'll have 6. Week 7, you'll have 3. Week 8, maybe you have 1. And that's assuming you're an above average. I gave you a 10% better than the average. So I think it's a really cool thought process. It is just, and just when you hear it, it seems like it's like, oh yeah, I can beat someone every week. But even if you draft 150 teams, it is incredibly difficult. We're going to take Pat Bryant, and then we will go with Chris Rodriguez. I think Chris Rodriguez is more exciting in the underdog drafts than he would be in a regular redraft league, because I think you do just get some usable weeks here. Okay. Raul says, I'm at about $100 draft totals. I don't know how you guys are maxing out everything, not even financially, just time and sanity wise. Well, for me, it's my job, right? And I will say, I would assume the average person on Underdog, and of course this is the assumption, but you obviously see people like me on the internet, and then other people that do streaming, it's their job. So of course they're going to go out there and they're going to max BBM. But I imagine the average person does 5 Underdog drafts and then probably does 5 pick'ems through the year. Steelen says, that's purely the math, but range of outcomes you could run incredibly unrealistically hot. Yeah, that is true. But also you could run cold. You could be bounced from all your teams by week 5. I did the math as if you were 10% better than the average drafter. Sterling says, wouldn't that be 5%? 5% 10%. Tomato, tomato. I did the math as if you were better than average. Somebody asked how much would it cost to max out everything. Let's do the math real quick. The only tournaments that I have maxed out, I was actually going to try to max out the big dog, but I couldn't get there. But I drafted more big. I've spent more money on underdog drafts this year than I have any year. BBM is about $3,700. The eliminator was $1,500. And the sprint was $3,000. So $3,000, $3,750, and then so to max those three, it's $8,200. And then I also maxed the marathon, which the marathon is $2,200. It's about $10,000 to max those 4 tournaments. And I spent way more than 10,000 too. I spent more than 20,000 on drafts this year. But that's because I did the high stakes drafts too. I think we're going to take another running back here. I think we're good at wide receiver. And we're going to go ahead. We're going to hop in another $5 puppy draft. Don't get mad at me if Safari jukes you out and Safari blocks my location, but we'll see. We in. Go Crazy says, what's the minimum you think you'll win? So the expected range of outcomes when you're doing tournaments, right? Like a $5 buy-in, $100,000 first place. Expected range of outcomes is the vast majority of people are going to lose, and the small percentage of people that win are going to win a ton of money. So if you ask me, Mason, what's the most likely outcome? The most likely outcome is I probably make back 80-ish% of my entries. The most likely outcome is I lose this year. Hell, I lost last year too. And last year I maybe only made back like 90% of my entries. But the distribution with tournaments, where again, this is like a $5 buy and $100,000 first place prize, is the small percentage of people that win will win a massive, massive amount. And the large percentage of people that lose will, in theory, lose a small amount. Which is the same structure of like poker tournament. It's just the DFS tournaments, basketball tournaments, all the same thing in terms of the game payout structure. And like, so for example, that 1 year where I profited 150,000 in drafts, it's like, okay, that can fund me to do, let me see. Oh, we're going to take we're going to take McCaffrey at 7. We've been taking McCaffrey at 7 all off season. But hypothetical world, you win $150,000. Then you have $20,000 of entries over the next 10 years, and you only make 90% back in those 20,000. So you effectively lose $2,000 every year until you hopefully win another tournament. It only works if you can win a tournament. But it looks like we had 200 likes, so please go down there, drop your flockfantasy.com username, and we will go ahead and we'll get you set up with some free questions on the site. Okay. Nerd Space in this draft with us at 3. Albie in this draft with us at 10. Ian in this draft with us at 6. Happy to have you, my friend. Aleem says, Mason, how are you going to have the energy to live stream 5 to 6 hours per day during the season with all these free questions? We're going to figure it out, my friend. We will figure it out. I don't know how many years I have left in me, but I'm going to commit to this one. We're going to go hard. Okay. We got Dirty Dogs as the winner. Hopefully I can find you on the site here, my friend. But yeah, we're going to be doing probably 5 to 6 hours of live streams every day during the season. And then we're going to have the multiple videos a day as well. So it's going to get difficult. Y'all know I'll give you everything I got. I mean, I lost my voice from doing it a couple years ago. Yeah, Dirty Dogs with 3 Ys. I cannot find you, my friend. I don't know if you use code FLOCK on the site, so we're going to have to move over to the next person. We're going to go League 007. I cannot find you either. And we are on the clock. And we will take Drake London. I mean, people are taking Drake London over Brian Thomas now. We saw London go pick 12 in the last draft. So we're going to have to move over to our next one. This is CTEAPE. I can't find you either. What the hell? Again, I can only find y'all on my users page if y'all use code FLOCK on the site. And you tell me, and you have your exact username correct. Demonic Celery has been a long time member in the live stream. Free account on the site, but I appreciate hanging out with us in the streams, my friend. And I'll get you set up with some free vouchers on the site to send stuff in. Okay. But yeah, I can't guarantee you that we stream, 5 to 6 days every day forever. We'll see what I can do this year, and then we'll reevaluate next offseason for what 2026 is going to look like for us, and 2027. Teresa, happy that you're able to make it out. I sent over the review. Hopefully you're able to see it. I think the main thing was, I think there were like those 2 waiver wire moves that we came up with. Okay. Chevy says Mason's having a kid. He's saying, I may or may not be pregnant. I'm surprised y'all haven't been able to tell by my face, but we'll take Lamar. We're going to keep it stupid simple. Juan says, can I play 2 defenses in the flex? No, you cannot. Okay. Sir Bob says, how bad is it to get multiple quarterbacks on the same bye? Not that bad. So the big thing with these massive underdog tournaments, right, is almost everything comes down to weeks 15 through 17. So like when you are drafting here, the big thing you should be asking yourself, the big thing you should be trying to figure out is how can I have the highest ceiling possible in the final 3 weeks? So I would not stress about having like drafting 3 quarterbacks in an underdog tournament and 2 of them sharing the same bye week. It's going to be not nearly as important as you just optimizing to have the most points you can in those final 3. Okay. Go over AC says, what year are we getting Sydney Sweeney to host the Flock draft? Oh my gosh. If we had Sydney Sweeney to host the Flock League draft, my life would be complete. It would be. Oh, we're going to take Mike Evans here. Mike Evans should have gone ahead of Terry, Worthy, Tet, Adams, Harrison, JSN, Tyreek. Like Evans should be a mid-third round pick here. And yes, the quarterback bye weeks do matter in the eliminator, but the majority of the underdog tournaments, they don't. But already, like I am on cloud 9 when we do the Flock League draft. It's already my favorite thing in the world. We have Sydney Sweeney hosting it. I'll tell you one thing. I'll draft the worst fantasy football team God has ever seen. That would be a guarantee. Okay. Andrew says, anyone else get the bathwater soap from Sydney? I would have if I could, but if my girlfriend opened that in the mail, my ass would have been grass. Would not have been good, I'll tell you that much. So I think this is another team, like back-to-back drafts that have been great. Got the anchor running back with CMC. High upside receivers with London and Evans. Realistically, good floors as well. Brees goes 54. I think I'm going to take Waddle. If you were playing in a regular redraft league, you would go ahead and you would take Kamara here for sure. Sam says Pearsall in the 5th. Is that a bit early? Yeah, Pearsall usually goes in the 6th in these underdog drafts. But again, wide receivers are just going to get pushed up. Billy says, are you worried about Arch Manning? I am not worried about Arch Manning as a Texas fan because I no longer care about the Texas Longhorns this year. You embarrass me like that on national television with the whole country watching. I cut my ties. Okay. Calvin Ridley goes 56. Buka goes 57. Rice off 61. Rice is another good example of somebody that's like, in my opinion, really appealing if you can get him at a discount in a tournament like this. Because, yeah, you're going to lower your probability of advancing to the playoff tournament. But at the end of the day, if really the only thing that matters is how many points you can put up in the tournament, Rice is going to put up a lot. Okay, Pollard off. We're on the clock. Not taking Debo here. I'll take Swift. Especially with the secondary running backs in Chicago being banged up. We don't even know who the running back 2 would be. And we actually have the Chicago Bears going from the 4th worst offense in the league last year in terms of total points scored to now sportsbooks are putting them at 16th in the league with projected points. Okay. Jerry Jeudy goes 70th. Juan says, if I draft too many Cowboys, will my team get eliminated from the playoffs? I think that is true. How about them Cowboys? Did y'all watch the Cowboys documentary on Netflix? Because as somebody, I know most people who watch this live stream are older than I am. So I'm probably going to embarrass myself with this. But as someone who wasn't born or wasn't old enough when the Cowboys had a real dynasty in the 90s, it was super interesting to watch as someone like who didn't really know what was going to happen. Well, I'm sure if you're like 40, you're like watching it more like, yeah, I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. Me, I was watching it for like almost the first time. Sam says, yes, it is true. They were only good because the Herschel Walker trade with the Vikings. Chris Olave goes 77. I was going to take Addison here. We'll pivot over and take Sam Laporta instead. Ryan says, the Cowboys never won a Super Bowl on a flat screen TV. Yeah, so for me, I'm young enough to just like the only Cowboys that I remember like the Romo Cowboys. In my mind, it's the Tony Romo Cowboys and the Dak Prescott Cowboys. And I don't really remember anything beyond that. Like, what year did Romo start playing? 2004. I guess he started taking over as a starter 2006. But yeah, so I only know like the Cowboys era where they were nothing. Or at least nothing irrelevant. So let me see the Cowboys record by year. Because some of those Romo teams, like they were winning a bunch of games in the regular season. You got a 13-3 season 2007, and 11-5 season 2009, 12-4 season 2014, 13-3 season 2016. I believe that was the first Dak Prescott season. And then 2021, 2022, and 2023, they were 12-5 each year, which is interesting. I would assume that it was worse than that. I don't remember them being that good. I will take Aaron Jones. We already just actually no, never mind. I thought we just took Hawk. But I mean, Aaron Jones is a completely fine pick at 90, right? Especially after getting him after Jordan Mason's off the board. But yeah, I honestly thought the Cowboys were worse than this recently. But 3 straight finishes of 12-5 before Dak Prescott's injured season 2024. It's not as embarrassing as I remember. Like in terms of seasons that the Cowboys won less than 6 games, since 2003, they've had 1 season with less than 6 wins. I wonder how many other NFL teams you could say that. So I guess can't say that they're horrendous. And keep in mind, I couldn't care less about the Cowboys. I know a lot of people have like strong opinions. They love them. They hate them. I don't care. But I mean, they're a solid regular season team. Just get to the playoffs and can't win. Okay. Now Luther Burden off 97. So overall, solid team. Wide receiver, we have London, Evans, Waddle. Running back, CMC, Swift, Jones. We have the elite quarterback with Lamar, and we have Sam Laporta as well. Okay. Hino says, Mason, who do you have winning the college football championship? As somebody who knows nothing about college football, after today, after seeing them whoop up my Texas Longhorns, I'd probably give the default boring answer of Ohio State. We're going to take either Baker to stack with Evans, or we're going to take Andrews to stack with Lamar. Who do we want? We'll take Baker to stack with Evans. And then we're going to be done taking quarterbacks. And then obviously I want to reiterate, your regular redraft league, you would never take a second quarterback here. You would go ahead, you would take Lamar Jackson, and that would be it. Alex says, do you have a strong preference between Rome and DJ Moore? Funny enough, the expert average rankings on flogfantasy.com have Rome ahead of DJ Moore. Like crazy that there are people on the site ranking him that way. For me, I very much clearly prefer DJ Moore. Darnell Mooney goes 105. Bo Nix 106. Zombie says, so in these underdog leagues, what happens if both quarterbacks get injured since there's no waiver wire? You lose. If I draft Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield both get injured, I lose. We are just running back, wide receiver, tight end. We're going to take Bateman to pair up with Lamar. Like the most likely outcome with an underdog tournament. is you lose. The most likely outcome with your $5 is it's gone. Now, of course, you get to the fantasy playoff tournament, then you at least make $10, then you advance, you make X amount, blah, blah, blah. You're not drafting like for the safety of it. That's why it's not going to replace your main fantasy football league. It's like if everything breaks right for you, then you're the one turns the $5 into 100,000, the $5 into 75K, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So let's move this down. So Kraft makes it pretty far. Alan says, did you watch Hard Knocks with the Bills? Did you see the spelling bee? I watched the first episode of Hard Knocks, and then I just couldn't get into it. So I watched the first episode of Hard Knocks, and then I stopped. But the Cowboys documentary on Netflix was really good. And again, I'm somebody who could not care less about the Cowboys. So I would recommend that for sure. We're going to take Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk in your regular redraft league, there's no point in ever taking him. Because realistically speaking, what's the upside? How does he turn into somebody that you're starting every single week? But here in an underdog best ball draft with no waiver wire, the security that you get with Kirk, he's going to cover a lot of weeks where you're just not taking zeros. Hunter says, did you watch quarterback? Yes, I watched quarterback. I watched it whenever I was doing one of the updates with the draft sheets. I know I've complained about this 1,000 times, but updating those draft sheets was just absolutely brutal because it was like mindless busy work. Just like working on Excel, but it would just take freaking forever. So with the draft sheets, I just had them on one screen I was working on. And then on another screen, we had the quarterback series for like the night that we were working on the sheets. We watched all of quarterback. You know what's hilarious? I said this year to myself, I said I'm not going to be live streaming super late. I'm going to try to do my streams earlier for y'all. And I've realized that like I'm ending all my streams at midnight. I need to get on my crap. I'm just going right back into the same habit that I had last year. Javonte is the starting running back on Thursday. CJ Stroud stacks with Kirk, but there's no world in which we can take CJ Stroud here when we have Lamar and Baker. So we'll go ahead and instead we will just take Javonte Williams. And it is still early on the West Coast. Which is why I'd imagine the majority of people who watch this are probably on the West Coast. I know YouTube tells me. I just haven't cared to look. Would be interesting to look, though. Ryan says, what is early like 10? What is early? The average like person that does fantasy football live streams is streaming at like noon. And here I am at almost midnight. And this is what I did all year last. So what my workflow is during the season, because it's not that big of a deal right now, right? It's August 30th. When it becomes a really big deal is, what am I doing when the season gets here? And the first few weeks, I'm going to be live streaming so much that it's not going to matter. I mean, I'm going to have to go early. I'm going to do early and late. But mainly what I need to figure out is Dylan Sampson goes 149. Okay, what are we doing? I think we're going to go Hollywood Brown, especially with the Rice suspension, just covering us some weeks early in the season. But my workflow last year was I'd wake up, I would work on the 2 videos. I'd prep all the videos. I would record the videos. I would get them to the editor and then I'd go live. Which Usually I don't wake up early because I'll be live streaming till like 1 a.m. I'll go to bed at 2 because it takes me a little bit of time I can't fall asleep the second I hit in live stream. So I wake up late. So and then I have to eat. I have to eat lunch. I have to eat dinner. A lot of times I try to go on a run. So like I don't like get done with my day until like 8 or 9 to start streaming. But I think what I need to figure out this year is if I should, instead of recording it, like prepping and recording the 2 videos during the day and then live streaming at night, should I try to do one video in the morning, live stream in the middle of the day, and then the other video at night? We are going to go ahead. I'm going to take Hunter Henry. Henry and Laporta is a little awkward because I don't know if we want to draft a third tight ends or if we're good chilling at 2. If we would have taken Tyler Algier there, I know we only take 5 total running backs. So a little awkward with that pick. I don't know the exact thing to do. Okay. Alan says, cherish these last days drafting, man. It's bittersweet when the season starts. That's what I've been saying. Like, obviously, I want football to be here so freaking bad. Like, I don't like college football nearly as much as I know a lot of y'all do, to be honest. Like, seeing the college football games today, it doesn't do much for me. I had the Texas game. I didn't even watch all of the Texas game. I watched a lot of it, but I didn't even watch all of it. The NFL games, that's what I need. The thing that I care about is fantasy football. So I need these games here, but I really don't want to stop drafting too. Like, I think I said it in the live stream last night, but I feel like I have another good like month of doing drafts in me until I get burnt out. But let's move this over. So now that we get Rachaad White on the way back around, it was definitely the right call to pass on Algier in favor of Hunter Henry in the last round. Because Rachaad White could possibly give us some usable weeks as well. And then also you have the handcuff appeal if anything were to occur to Bucky. Trera says, brother, you haven't lived until you do 4 drafts at the same time. You know I've done 4 drafts at the same time. But it looks like we had 300 likes on the live stream, so go down and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. And we will find somebody to give some vouchers to. Okay, let me pull up the site real quick. Okay, Stafford goes 180. Pull up flock users. We got Harm 92. Let's see if I can find you, my friend. Good for us to see like Daniel Jones go here. I don't want to take another Wandale off. I found Harm 92. Pat Bryant's been a big time faller. F it. I'm going to take Pat Bryant anyway. And we know we need another wide receiver no matter what. But here's Harm. Got the season pass, so you should already have some vouchers in your account now, but I'll send you over some additional ones, my guy. So you should be good to go. And the awkward thing's going to be like, so our wide receiver room currently is London, Evans, Waddle, Bateman, Kirk, Hollywood, Pat Bryant. We know we need one more wide receiver, but I don't know if we need 2 more. So there is a world in which we could either take the 6th running back or we could take the 3rd tight end, and I don't exactly know what we should do. Running back, we have McCaffrey, Swift, Jones, Javonte, and Rashad White. Okay, Miller goes 198. Rico Dowdle 199 is too good a value not to take. So we're going to take Dowdle here, and we're going to just stick it with 2 tight ends with Sam Laporta and Hunter Henry, and we will send up a prayer that they are good to go. But we know we needed another receiver regardless. So we'll queue up some wide receivers here. Actually, Hopkins probably going to be the best guy to queue up considering the fact that we have Lamar. And then I'll queue up Jack Besh in case we end up getting a Myers trade. And we'll just try to find somebody that's not getting drafted very often. We can mix in some Roman Wilson. Maybe Dontavian Wicks as well with the Jaden Reed injury. But one of those wide receivers we'll get. Well, let's go ahead and let's hop into another draft. Like I said, we are going to be doing a bunch of the $5 drafts with y'all this week. I know this is the draft. I mean, I know the puppies are what y'all like the most anyway. But I've maxed out pretty much everything else. So this is what I got left. Okay, we get pick 5, so it should be a little bit of a different team than the last one. And we got Vinny in this draft with us, which I love to see. Sour Patch Kid's a pretty good username if that person's in this draft. We got a second Vinny in the draft as well at 11. Scott says, how much do you spend on drafts each football season? I don't have the exact number. I think last year it was around maybe 20,000, but I know this year, here's what I know for sure. This year I've spent more money on drafts than I've ever spent. That's what I know for sure. Not because I maxed out like the marathon for the first time or the eliminator for the first time, but because of the $500 drafts. It's like, again, you do one $500 draft, that's worth 50 eliminator drafts. But yeah, this one I've been in more than this year. I've definitely spent more than I did last. And Demonic Celery in with us at the 103. Demonic Celery gets in a bunch of these drafts with us. We'll take Barkley. I mean, y'all know Barkley is my running back 1 this year. Alan says, I feel like winning the marathon's like winning the lottery. That's effectively how any massive tournament like this is, right? We got JZCK. I'm assuming this is just a funny way to spell Jack. In with us at 12. Fat Dunk says 20. Bro, WTF, what do you do for work? This is what I do for work, my friend. And also it helps that 1 year I won 150,000 on Underdog. I've lost other years. So it's not like I'm up profited 150,000 my entire time drafting on Underdog. It's probably closer to 110, 120 now, but I've still profited a ridiculous amount. Okay. AJ Brown goes 16 after London goes 15. So here we get a little bit of an earlier Bowers pick, but I'm not going to fault anybody for going like Genty Bowers. I think that's a combo that will be kind of rare in these tournaments and have an insane ceiling as well. Okay. I'm going to take Josh Jacobs. Let's run it for the Flock League. If y'all know, my top 4 players in the Flock League are Barkley, Jacobs, Josh Allen, and T. Higgins. So there are 2 players I'm rooting for more than anybody this year. It is Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs. Okay, Josh Allen off 25. When you go running back in an underdog draft, you don't have a choice but to take a wide receiver in the 3rd. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a receiver. Lamar Jackson goes 28. Marvin Harrison will be our next guy. Fat Dunk says, do you think if I put in 30 to 40 weeks because I love football, I can make some good money doing this kind of stuff? The vast majority of people doing any type of tournaments, whether it is poker tournaments, DFS tournaments, underdog tournaments, will lose money. You should not do this thinking like, oh, I'm going to get rich. You should do it if you think, oh, this will be fun and maybe I could get lucky and win some money. But no, I do not think if you put in 30 to 40 hours a week doing it, you could make consistent good money. Just, again, any style tournament. Just the distribution of prizes, right? It's a $5 tournament, $100,000 for first place. Now that has to happen is a lot of people have to lose a little bit of money for one person to win a lot of money. So it's a lot more likely that you're in the group of the people that lose a little bit of money rather than the person that wins a lot of the money. Yeah, like I would not, like, if it was not for me having the YouTube, flockfantasy.com, and all the media side of the business, I would not, like, if all YouTube and everything like that went away, it wouldn't be like, oh, okay, now I got to rely upon my job being a professional drafter. The only source of income I have is my profit or loss based off my best ball drafts. No, it would be like, oh crap, I got to find another job. That's what it would be. I would still do these underdog best ball drafts. Mainly, I wouldn't do nearly as many of them. I'd mainly do like the $5 drafts if I was on the stationary bike and I needed to kill some time. But I do them for fun. I wouldn't do them thinking like, oh, all of a sudden I can. We're not going to be able to take Jalen Hurts. We're just going to have to continue to play catch up at wide receiver. We're going to take Courtland Sutton. But yeah. And if anybody, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but if anybody's trying to sell you like, hey, buy my $300 a month course and I'm going to teach you how to be a professional X, Y, and Z where you can quit your job and make money with best ball tournament, you're probably not making a correct purchase. DK Metcalf off at 49. Now, I will say, if somebody offers you a $34 one-time payment on flockfantasy.com to have some tools to help you win your regular fantasy football league, in my humble opinion, in my professional opinion, probably a good deal. It's probably legit. We will take Jalen Waddle here. We'll be fine with Waddle receiver. Again, we're just having to play catch up at wide receiver after we go Barkley and Jacobs. Okay. But I do think that, like, again, a regular fantasy football league is much, 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 much easier to win. You're just going up against 11 other people, and a lot of times those 11 other people aren't that sharp. So if you have some good tools at your disposal, it's a lot easier to beat 9 or 10 other people. And you can do that with much more consistency than winning massive tournaments, right? Kevin says he got the $34 guide. I think he smashed his draft. If you got this season pass, definitely don't just use it for the guide, because you should have access to like a bunch of the other tools and stuff on the site. So I'm really happy to hear that you smashed your draft, but definitely take advantage of all the stuff that, because again, if you got that season pass, maybe you did it because you were most excited about the draft guides, but there should be a bunch of other tools on the site that help you during the year win your league. Okay. Mason's bald uncle. Oh my gosh. This is this is wild. Oh my gosh. If y'all don't know, this is a photo of me that he initially made bald and made his account Bald Mason. And now somehow he made that same account photo older. Now it's an old man. And now it's Mason's bald uncle. That is hilarious, my friend. That is really good. That is really good. Joe Burrow off the board. We'll take Romadunze. Rome's been a faller. I don't exactly know why. Kevin says, do grade ratings actually even matter? What does not matter is your quote unquote draft grade. Like where ESPN goes through and says like, oh, you reached 2 rounds on this player in comparison to ADP. That does not matter. What matters is your actual power ranking in your league. Which if you upload your league on flockfantasy.com on the My Teams page, you can see everything with your power ranking according to the current standing of your team and not exactly what just happened in your draft. But let me try to get another picture of the Mason's bald uncle. Okay. We had Jordan Addison off 73. Oh, and one thing I forgot to say, I need to make sure I keep reminding y'all this because I know not everybody sees every stream. But like Underdog's doing me a massive favor by this. So I need to make sure I'm taking them up on it. If you got the season pass or like you're an annual mother flocker, we're going to take Sam Laporta here as our first tight end. And you have an Underdog account, whether you made an Underdog account today, tomorrow, 4 years ago, whether you got the season pass today, tomorrow, a month ago, or you've been an annual mother flocker for years on flockfantasy.com, frankly, it doesn't matter. Just go to the post section on the site, hit this post where it's the $10 Underdog credit, and fill out the Google form with your flockfantasy.com email address and your Underdog username, hit submit, and you're going to get a free $10 into your Underdog account. So make sure you take advantage of that. And there also may be some other cool stuff coming for the people who have an Underdog account with code FLOCK and got that season pass. Alan says, wait, the Flock website just showed the Flock League Power Rankings page, and I don't know where it went. So I'll talk to the devs about this, but the power rankings for flockfantasy.com with the My Teams page, this, if you don't have a team linked, I think it default links the Flock League for you just so you see what it looks like. And then once you link your actual team, maybe the Flock League goes away. But I can get you the league ID if you wanted to link the Flock League and always be able to see the Flock League on the My Teams page. Okay, Hawkinson goes 88. Alan says, okay, that makes sense. Then get glitched when my teams didn't show. Okay. Ja'Cory Cruskin-Barrett goes 91. Probably take Pittman here as our wide receiver 5. Again, you want as many wide receivers in these underdog drafts. In my opinion, this isn't necessarily proven math, but in my opinion, before about the wide receiver 50 mark, because I think that's where there's a big tier drop this year. And again, like your regular redraft league, you actually have to submit a starting lineup and figure out which one of these guys to play. But here, they're just going to randomly cycle through. So I'll send you all the Flock League ID if y'all wanted to link it with your My Teams page on the site. I'm going to just copy and paste it from the YouTube chat. I will probably make an announcement in the next Flock League video telling people how to do this too. I just put it in the chat. That's the sleeper ID. So if you just copy and paste that to link a sleeper league with your flockfantasy.com account, you should be able to link the Flock League. Okay, so Chris Godwin goes 97. Got Mason's hotter sister out now. Not as good as the bald uncle, I'll say that. Not bad, but not as good as the bald uncle. The bald uncle caught me off guard. Okay. Let's move this back. What quarterbacks could be in play for us? Clearly, Bo Nix is in play where we have Cortland Sutton, so we're going to go ahead. We will take Bo Nix. Kyler Murray would have been great to get on the way back around with Marv as well, but we're not going to cry too much about it. So now running back, we have Barkley, Jacobs. Quarterback, we have Bo Nix stacked with Sutton. Wide receiver, we have Harrison, Sutton, Waddle, Rome, Pittman. Your regular fantasy football league, good luck figuring out which one of these wide receivers to start. But in best ball, I think it's decent. Okay. Ben Rhodes says, God, I actually can't wait for the NFL season to start. Can y'all let me know in the chat real quick, how many of y'all still have a fantasy football draft to do? Not including underdog drafts if you're just going to do those randomly. But your like main like ESPN fantasy football draft. How many of y'all still have your draft to do? We got Jack with 3 left. Me, no, me. 5 more. I do. Tomorrow. Me. Tomorrow, 3 more. All 3 managed leagues are this week. Alex's $100 main league. Nerd Space, 2 today. 2 more before kickoff. Because my thought process is, I guess actually, never mind. Today's Saturday, not Sunday. So that makes a lot more sense because there will be drafts tomorrow and then Monday as well. Because with Monday being Labor Day. But I swear, like, the season seems like it's starting earlier this year than it did in the past. We'll take Caleb here and pair him up with Rome. But it seems like, I remember like 2 years ago, right? The first game for the Jets, like when it was a super big deal for Rodgers playing, it was like essentially NFL kickoff. And that was on 9/11. And our first game this year is September 4th. So it seems like the season kind of got pushed up a week. Jesse says Labor Day being the first pushes everything up. Is opening week always on Labor Day? There's obviously for y'all who absolutely love fantasy football. I mean, y'all are here hanging out with me late tonight in a live stream. I know that it may not matter that much, but for like the casual fantasy football leagues, like if some college buddies are going to get together and try to do a fantasy league, like students just started classes last week. So I really haven't had any time to like possibly get together and get a league going. Chaz says, it's crazy you got JCM in the last round of the Flock League when he goes here in Underdog drafts. To be completely honest with you, if I didn't draft on Underdog every single night, I don't know if I would have remembered to take JCM. Is the reason I got JCM in the Flock League, realistically. Here's my theory. I can't say this with 100% certainty, but we don't have any potential quarterbacks. We can go with some quarterbacks later. So we'll take Ramondre Stevenson here. Best case scenario, we get a couple random usable weeks out of him. With Henderson healthy, and he's also the premium handcuff if anything were to occur to Henderson. But, okay, Tyler says Chiefs Ravens September 5th last year with Green Bay Philly being the 6th, so same time. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, anyway, so I think my theory on why I got JCM in the last round of the Flock League draft was the developers like load all the players into the site, right? And always there's a player that I didn't tell them that they needed to load in, wasn't on the blah, blah, blah. And they have to go through and they have to randomly add another guy in. And the developers don't know who they need to add. And they play fantasy football like you see them in the Flock League, but they're not nearly as in the weeds as we are. So they didn't add Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt into the database for the rankings page. And I had told them like the week prior, because he kept on getting steamed up in Underdog drafts. I was like, oh, this guy's becoming relevant. And I told the developers the week prior, like, hey, let's add Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt to the rankings. And they hadn't got around to it because it was like the big Flock League week. Everybody flew into Austin, super busy, blah, blah, blah. And everybody at the draft was kind of using rankings and stuff on flockfantasy.com. And he wasn't on the rankings page yet. And like the very last round I had remembered, I was like, oh crap, is he still available? And I was like looking at the board going like, oh, he hasn't been taken yet. So I ran in there. I was like, oh, let me get him. We'll take, we'll go Herbert and we'll call it a day at QB. There's a couple wide receivers that we can take later on. But, what's it called? Yeah, so we got very lucky. I think a big reason was just because I'm in these Underdog drafts every single night, so you can see the trends. E. Rickshaw says, I'll be entering the next $5 if you're doing another. Also, the year you won $150,000, I won $10,000 on Best Ball Mania. I got 22nd. I only had 10 drafts too. That is awesome, my friend. Which that year that you got 22nd place in Best Ball Mania, then I got 16th place. Now I maxed out Best Ball Mania. I did 150 of them, but that's awesome, my friend. Balls Life says, be honest, Mason, you told the devs not to add him. I did tell the devs to add him, which is funny because usually the other creators are the guys who are on the devs going like, oh, you need to add this deep dynasty player. You need to add this deep dynasty player. But for whatever reason, I was the one who told them they needed to add Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. And then the second that I drafted him, I went over, I was like, now y'all really got to add him because I need to move him up my rankings so I go higher in my team's rankings. We'll take Ray Davis here at 149. Just get the premium handcuff back for a good offense. And obviously, we're going to be looking at Trey Harris and Quentin Johnston later in this draft. Simba says, do you make a profit every year from Best Ball? No, I do not. We talked about that previously. Carson says, Saturday night flock, go hit the town, bro. This is me hitting the town. I'll be here I've been here every Saturday night since April. And I will be here every Saturday night until the only Saturday night I was not here was when we did the 100-mile ultra marathon. And I was running through the night. And by running, I mean walking like a turtle. I mean going as slow as a turtle. But I'll be here every Saturday night until Christmas. So Bryce Young, Geno Smith both go. Great for us to see the quarterbacks get drafted, right? Like we're clearly done taking QBs. If we go QB 101, 116, and 140. Okay, Vinny says 2024 it was the 5th. 2023 was the 7th. 2022 was the 8th. 2021 it was the 9th. 2020 was the 10th. 2018 it was the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Okay, so it looks like it's about in that range every year. So I guess, yeah, it is dependent on Labor Day then. Okay. Let's move this over. We're going to go running back, wide receiver, tight end. We can just take Cedric Tillman. I know everybody in our comment section loves Tillman. Reality of it is he probably only ever matters in an underdog best ball draft. Your regular redraft league will never really matter. Okay. Raviel says, Mason, how did I submit my team on Flock Fantasy? What did I get with the Flock Pass? So you would definitely see on the checkout page with the Flock Pass, you get the free start, set question, trade question vouchers. If you got the season pass, if you got the annual Mother Flocker, you would also get a free team review voucher. Okay. Mason's hot. I can't answer your question seriously. Mason's hotter sister. Okay. Adam Thielen goes 169. I don't even know if we talked about the Jalen Coker situation. We are just going to reach on the big Q. Well, I don't care. You cannot make me feel bad about reaching on the big Q over Torrey Horton. I'll take him to pair him up with the Justin Herbert stack. Ray says we had 400 likes, so go down there and drop your flockfantasy.com username, and we will pick one of y'all to give away some additional free vouchers to. Jalen Coker goes 175. Coker's, I don't want to say a wasted pick, but Vinny, what are we doing? Can't be going Jalen Coker there. Okay, let's pick someone. We got Rafe Barra. Hopefully you use code FLOCK, my friend. Hopefully I can pull you up in the stream. Rafe. Oh. Okay. Perfect. Found you. And yeah, you got the season pass, so you should already have some free vouchers to send me questions in the streams. But we'll get you set up with some additional free start set trade questions. Okay. Kevin says, I purchased the team review. Do you think you can get to that soon? Yep. I'm going to, today across the Dynasty channel and this channel, I did team reviews for 3 hours. Yesterday, I think I did them for 3.5 hours. The day before, I did them for 4.5. So we're going to continue to just absolutely grind through those team reviews. I think we are about 2 to 3 days behind on all of them. So it shouldn't take too long for us to get to it. But yes, sir, I'm going to get to it as fast as I can. I will not take a single day off of doing those live Q&As until we have no more team reviews waiting for us, which realistically will probably be Christmas. Darius Slayton goes. So we'll take Dowdle here. This is back-to-back draft stuff. Getting Dowdle at essentially no cost. Mark Word says, I got to stop giving out hundreds of free team reviews. I mean, with the live stream free giveaways, we're only giving out free start set questions and trade questions, which realistically, those take me 30 seconds to answer. So it's the team reviews that take forever to answer. And if someone got a team review, it's most likely because they're an annual mother flocker on the site, which I definitely need to give those a good amount of time. So we are probably done at running back. Yeah, I think our last 2 rounds, we're going to go tight end. NFL Blitz is how much do you make off of YouTube? This year, I think I'm going to make about $89 million. It's going to go like, I saw an Instagram reel of Sophie Rain talking about how much money she makes. And I was like, you know what? That sounds about right. That sounds about what I'm making. Okay. And we'll probably take Jonnu here. I realistically don't understand how Jonnu is this cheap. Scored 173 points at tight end last year. And we're just going to queue up some random bum tight ends at the very end. Terrence Ferguson's probably going to be who we take. Terrence Ferguson very rarely gets drafted here. Just in case he does go, we'll just make sure we guarantee ourselves one of these other guys. I don't want Darren Waller under pretty much any circumstance. I don't want Pat Frymuth under any circumstance or other of Higbee. But we're probably going to be able to get Terrence Ferguson. But I think that's probably it for the drafts tonight. Again, I'm going to be super annoying with this all week, but in my opinion, it's very important that I keep bringing it up because you aren't really going to get too many opportunities like this with the special promos. It's just always this way when it comes to the opening week for NFL. It's the most important week for you to be taking advantage of this stuff. So on Underdog, they have a free Saquon Barkley gimme pick for Thursday night, a 50% profit boost token for Thursday night as well. Friday night, you have an additional 50% profit boost token. Saturday, a 100% profit boost token that drops that you can use for a Sunday pick'em. And then you have additional promos Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. They're doing promos for 6 days straight. And on top of that, if you're not already on Underdog, if you use code FLOCK after you play your first $5, you're going to get $50 added in your account. And on top of that, we are doing Flock exclusive pick'em packs as well on Underdog Fantasy that are specifically boosted for y'all too, which I don't have a screenshot of that available, but I'm super excited about those. We're going to be riding with them together on the live streams. We're going to take Terrence Ferguson here. So definitely take advantage of that if you haven't already. The links in the description, comment section, live chat where it says draft with us here. And also you'll get those draft sheets sent to the email address that you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with as well. But I think that's all I got for you, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate you and really hope I get to see you out with the live streams tomorrow night.